Tyrone, thanks so much for joining us. Listen, how's training going, both from a health and safety aspect, as well as trying to get fitter and match fit too?
Yeah, it's all right. It is very difficult. It's very difficult to replicate normal training up until now because they've been small groups. But no, it's been fine. Obviously, the lads have come back raring to go. We're fully anticipating the season now starting, so it's just a countdown to that first game now, I think.
Yeah, you did an article on Saturday about the players being the last to be consulted over a financially driven restart. Do you feel comfortable about being back, and does the rest of the squad feel comfortable as well?
Yeah, that article seemed to ruffle a few feathers, but it was an honest opinion about our standing in the game, which is one that I think all players accept and nobody is critical of. But no, everybody seems comfortable about it. It's what we signed up to do at the start of the season, and nothing's changed. We've just had a slightly more extended break in the middle part of the season. But like I said, everybody's raring to go, and I think the season can't start soon enough.
Tyrone, it's Graham. Good morning.
Good morning.
Tyrone, can I ask you this? You know, your backstory is very interesting in terms of you had lots of rejection before you got into the Premier League. My question is a simple one. Do you love going to work every day?
I do, yeah, of course. And I think the things I've gone through to get to this point make it even more special, and perhaps I appreciate it more because this is always what I've wanted to do, play in the Premier League and play week in, week out and feel a big part of a team. So to be there and to be playing regularly and playing in a team that I feel a big part of is extremely special for a player.
Just on a selfish one, I'm a big fan of John McGinn. How much have you missed him? Being a Scotsman, of course.
Yeah, of course. Giddy is a great player. He really is, and he's got such an infectious personality that when he isn't around the team, it does make a big difference. Absolutely, and I think he's one of the players that you guys are speaking, and Merce was speaking about earlier, about players being on the team sheet and affecting the mindset of the opposition. So he is certainly one of those players for us because he brings so much to the team, both on and off the pitch. So it'd be good to have him back for sure.
Morning, Tyrone. Jamie here. How you doing, mate?
Morning, mate. I'm well, thanks.
Good, man. Listen, I just want to ask you a question. Obviously, in the newspapers this morning, they're talking about if the season can't be finished and to be curtailed, that it will be null and void. And that's pretty much what the bottom half want. How do you feel about that? Because that puts you in a difficult position because of course you want null and void. But if you weren't to finish your fixtures, do you feel that would be pretty much unfair?
Yeah, it's such a tough question to answer, isn't it? Because there are so many different variations of the points per game system. But at the moment, sitting here, I think it would be unfair. Of course, I would say that because we have a game in hand, and if we win that game in hand, it changes everything in terms of the points per game outcomes. However, if there were 2 games left of the season and we pretty much finished the season, then I think it's something that you can accept as a player that is the fairest way to finish things. But when we've still got 10 games left to play, I think it's very difficult to sit here and say, yeah, I think points per game is a fair way to finish the season, bearing in mind nobody signed up to that or that wasn't set out at the start of the season.
I know, I completely agree. It just doesn't feel fair and proper unless you can finish. You start off the season knowing you're going to complete a certain amount of games. If it doesn't, I feel it would be completely unfair if they were to relegate the bottom 3 as it stands. But the other question I want to ask you, and I know players have been very vocal in not being quite happy about the season getting started again, Tyrone. Now that you are back, do you feel more confident than ever that we can fulfil the fixtures?
I do, yeah. And I think what's important for players is that it is acceptable to change your mind. And when we were first talking about restarting the season, coming back to training, the virus was in a bad place and the country was in a bad place, and it seemed like we were kind of being shoehorned into going back to play football. Seeing where the country is now and lockdown restrictions being lifted a little bit, and kind of the attitude towards the pandemic being slightly more relaxed, I think players accept that the world is getting back on its feet, and we are a big part of that. We are a big part of that in communities. We're a big part of that for entertainment. So we are in a safe environment, and or as safe as it can be, as long as we can get the games back played as close to what they were played before. Then, in terms of the environment, then I think no players really have a problem with playing the games. Like I said, it's a very safe environment in terms of the testing and trying to keep the contact as minimal as possible.
No, that's exactly what you want to hear. I mean, I mentioned David Brooks coming back for Bournemouth. Obviously, you've got John McGinn. How important is he going to be alongside Jack Grealish? Because with those two, you certainly have a great balance, in midfield and going forward. And do you think they can give you that edge to stay in the Premier League?
Absolutely, yeah. Like, we've got quality throughout the team, but like you said, this period now has allowed players to come back and teams to perhaps refresh their squad in terms of players that would have missed the season if it had finished on time. But I think we're in a fortunate enough position that we get John McGinn back, and teams around us will strengthen with other players coming back to fitness and stuff like that. But it's going to be a good end to the season. I think whatever happens, it's going to probably throw a few strange results out in terms of the environment we're going back into. But I think it's something that the fans will look forward to, and they'll be entertained by for sure.
Yeah.
Tyrone, we certainly hope the season restarts and comes to its natural conclusion. You talked about 10 games left. The game in hand is Sheffield United at home in just 16 days' time. How crucial is that Sheffield United game? Get off to a winning start, points on the board, and crucially get out of the relegation zone.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the relegation zone is a big thing psychologically when you're in a relegation battle, isn't it? You don't want to be in there. You don't want to be in there at any point in the season, let alone if the season looks like it could be curtailed with you finishing in it. So the first game back will be absolutely massive, not necessarily just for the relegation zone, but like you said, for momentum, for belief, and yeah, to give us a good start going into this mini season that we're about to go into.
And it's really interesting what's happened in Germany with playing at home not seeming to be an advantage. I mean, just 8 home wins from 35 matches, more than double the away wins than at home. Villa have 6 home games left. And up until this particular point, you've been very strong at Villa Park, haven't you, with what is a fantastic crowd behind you.
Yeah, and I think that's what is going to be the biggest change, obviously, not having the home advantage in terms of the crowd. But I guess you have the familiarity of the stadium and the surroundings, and arriving at Villa Park and pitch dimensions, changing room, stuff like that. So there will still hopefully be an advantage. But the fans is such a crucial one for Villa as a club and for the players that it will seem strange. But at the same time, we have to try and use any advantage that we can get.
Yeah, I'm with you, Tyrone. I found it incredible that there's been so many away wins in the Bundesliga, because I think to explain to the general public, and when you used to play at Anfield, you've got your surroundings, you've got the same place you sit. It feels like you know the dimensions of the pitch, like the back of your hand. I still feel in the Premier League that home advantage, if that obviously happens, we don't have neutral venues, will play a big part. I just can't believe that it wouldn't.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's played such a big part for us up until now, and it hasn't just been the fans, like you said. All the things that we just spoke about there, in terms of the familiarity of your surroundings, is such a big boost, because you then don't have to think about anything else going into the game. It's just one less thing to think about. So I'm hoping it pays dividends, of course, because we've got a fair few home games left, and it has been such a great place for us to play this season. We've picked up quite a few impressive results there. So I'm hoping it does help us. But like I said, we'll have to look for every possible advantage we can find between now and the end of the season.
I do wonder, though, Tyrone, the biggest part of home advantage is the fans, and obviously everyone's going to have to deal with that, and we'll see how that goes. But there's no form guide here. By the time you play, it'll be 100 days since your last match. How will you approach the last 10 games, and do you think it could go down to the very last one?
Yeah, I mean, if it does go down to the last one, it's going to be a great game for the neutrals to watch, and a great occasion. But I don't know how the last 10 games are going to play out. If I'm honest, I think we probably will see quite a lot of strange results. Perhaps teams that have a run of results and a run of like I said, a run of results that don't quite marry up with their early season form.
Has Dean Smith talked to you about possibly? Sorry, Tyrone, but has Dean Smith talked to you about approaching it in a different way? What did he say to you on the first day back?
No, I mean, the manager's very consistent in his moods and his thought process and his approach to the games, and that is, we've got a great opportunity now where we've had a break. We've got a great opportunity to go and cement our place in the Premier League. We don't want to get relegated, or we don't want to stay up by not playing the games. We'd much rather go out and prove our standing in the Premier League. So the manager's ready to go, and likewise so are the players.